In the book, you reference the fact that he wasn't actually trained. He wasn't a formally trained artist, as opposed to probably his counterparts in Rome in particular. How do you feel like? Do you feel like he had a chip on his shoulder because of that, in the sense that he wasn't trained like the others?
Well, he had the opportunity to be trained. I mean, it's my conjecture that he wasn't trained. If you read previous books on Caravaggio, they go by the book, because he did actually sign apprenticeship forms age 13 to paint with an artist called Simone Pettegiano, who was a disciple of Titian. But the fact is, this Simone Pettegiano, his specialist subject was fresco. He was a fresco painter. So had Caravaggio, Caravaggio is such a genius that if he did 5 years, he's going to be really good when he starts in Rome. He's going to be really talented as a draftsman, as a painter. There are no drawings by his hand that survive whatsoever. And his early paintings are really crude and suggest somebody who's feeling his way. So I wouldn't say that he's completely untaught, but I think, he's the bad apprentice. There's a little... He's the apprentice who doesn't really turn up. He plays truant. He's out and about somewhere in Milan. He's selling off the little bits of land that were given to him by his father and his uncles. We've got little transactions that take place. He's getting a bit of money. And then there's a weird sort of marginalium written in the side pages of a biography that was later published, but the manuscript's in the Marciana Library in Venice. And in the manuscript of that, which he never published it, it's by a Sienese physician called Giulio Mancini, who was a friend of Caravaggio. He wrote a life of him, but he never published this bit. It's only and it says something like, it's very hard to read, but it says something like, a policeman disfigured, a prostitute dead, Caravaggio has a sword, he's in prison, and then he runs away. But none of that gets into the official biography that's subsequently published. But I think that's probably a much more likely. So I think fighting, troubled, in Milan, there's a strong tradition. And this is a culture where the old hierarchies of who does what and who's well known and who isn't well known and who has to show respect to who, they're all a bit up for grabs. So I think Caravaggio thinks, perhaps because of this connection with the Colonna, he thinks he's higher up the scale than he is. So he seems to always have a sword. And you shouldn't have a sword unless you're a member of the nobility. But he's the son of a stonemason, so how come he's carrying a sword everywhere? There are these sort of question marks, but this sword-carrying aspect of him doesn't go well. It certainly doesn't go well for the people he meets,
Definitely.
on whom he uses the sword. But so I think that, yes, he does have some degree of training by the time he gets to Rome, a little bit, and he probably goes to Venice because Pettegiano, the teacher from whom he played truant, I suspect, would have told him to go to Venice, because Pettegiano always said, oh, Titian, you should go and look at Titian. To everybody he said that. So I think when Caravaggio ran away from Milan, on his way to Rome, I think he made a detour to Venice, which would make sense geographically and artistically.
Thank you for watching this video. To listen to the full podcast, click the link in the description below.